So, good evening, everyone. We're going to share with you the results of our RVS of the National Museum of Fine Arts. So, we'll walk you through our experience during the site visit and explain what RVS is all about, present our observations, findings, and recommendations. But before we dive into that part, we'd like to start with a quick look back at the day we conducted our survey last March 23. So, here you'll see us with Engineer Manawis and Engineer Molina standing in front of the Polarium by Juan Luna. So, it was nice to conduct RVS inside this building that holds a deep part of our history and identity. So this brings us to the next question. So how do you assess if a heritage building like this is safe during an earthquake? So this is where RVS comes in. So, according to the US FEMA, RVS is a preliminary evaluation method that they developed to quickly identify buildings that might be at risk during the earthquake. So, it's called rapid because it doesn't require detailed structural analysis. So, instead, we use a sidewalk survey approach, meaning we visually inspect the building from the outside, and since the National Museum is open to the public, we inspected the inside too. So the main goal here is to fill out this data collection form under high seismicity category, which captures info about the building's features that might affect its seismic performance. After the survey, we calculated the score that gave us an idea of how the building might perform during an earthquake. So if the score is low, then that's a red flag. So that signals us that the building should be looked at more closely. But before we dive into the RVS itself, let's look first at the building's history.
The National Museum of Fine Arts provides a remarkable space for experiencing Filipino art. Within its 29 galleries and hallways, visitors encounter a rich tapestry of creativity. Construction of the building took place between 1918 and 1926. Initially, it was conceived as the National Library, designed by Ralph Harrington Doan, Antonio Manialac Toledo, and Juan M. Arellano. But due to lack of funds, it later served as the legislative building. During the Second World War, specifically in 1945, the building sustained significant damage. Following this, it underwent a substantial reconstruction, reopening its doors in 1949. This history also reflects in the building's architectural design. The rectangular form, organized around the central core and punctuated by north and south courtyards, creates a sense of balance and grandeur. The layout, with its clear east-west and north-south hallways, guides visitors through the galleries. The entrance, for instance, immediately draws attention with its imposing columned portico. Four towering Corinthian columns, reaching the building's full height, provide the grand welcome. The facades themselves are adorned with giant Corinthian columns and pilasters, rising from a grounded base. Decorative entablatures encircle the building, adding intricate detail. The pediments, both east and west, feature relief sculptures that elevate the structure beyond mere functionality. The depiction of Inang Bayan amidst Greek deities, for example, serves as a powerful symbol. The east entrance, in contrast, features an arched porte cochere. The building not only houses art but also frames views of Intramuros and Luneta, connecting the interior with the surrounding landscape. During the assessment of the National Museum of Fine Arts, several limitations were encountered that influenced the scope and depth of the findings. Firstly, the majority of the inspection were conducted visually. This poses a significant challenge when attempting to assess the building's compliance with FEMA's structural safety guidelines, which often require detailed engineering data. Specifically, FEMA's P154 and P2026 standards emphasize the importance of detailed structural analysis for seismic and wind resistance, respectively. Without access to structural plans to the codes used during its design and to the updated uh, to its updated compliance to new structural codes, a thorough FEMA compliant evaluation of these aspects is may be severely hampered. Furthermore, the museum's policies prevented the taking of physical notes while inside the premises. This required reliance on memory and immediate post-inspection documentation, potentially impacting the precision of recorded details. This limitation affects the ability to accurately document conditions as required by FEMA's damage assessment protocols, which demand meticulous records for disaster relief and mitigation planning. Additionally, certain areas of the museum were designated as off limits, limiting the access and preventing complete evaluation of all aspects of the building's conditions. This also prevented us to to locate uh, to locate the different structural members that are not that may not be identified by merely looking at the members, just like shear walls. This incomplete assessment directly impacts the ability to provide a comprehensive FEMA compliant report, which necessitates a full understanding of the building's vulnerability, especially in earthquakes. Finally, the lack of detailed engineering designs and structural plans, which were not accessible for viewing, further restricted a comprehensive analysis of the building's internal structural integrity. This is crucial for determining the building's compliance with FEMA standards for hazard mitigation, particularly in areas prone to earthquakes. FEMA's focus on pre-disaster mitigation relies heavily on accurate structural data. These limitations are important to consider when interpreting the resulting assessment. Therefore, it's crucial to acknowledge that a complete FEMA level risk assessment was not possible under this condition with a proper conclusion. So possibly a level 2 assessment um may be suggested. Any future FEMA related planning or funding application should address these limitations and seek to obtain the necessary data for a thorough evaluation.
From the hazard hunter, the site is considered safe from the ground rupture and earthquake-induced landslides as it is not directly traversed by any active fault, but it is located approximately 9.4 kilometers from the West Valley Fault, which remains a significant seismic source. The area is classified as having high liquefaction potential, indicating that the soil may lose strength during a strong ground shaking. So these results will be then used for the RVS later.
So for the result of the rapid visual screening, here are some basic informations of the National Museum, which includes the address, the building name, its location, the date it was assessed, etc. It is also included the number of stories, which is it is a four-story building with area of 67,541.23 square feet, which was determined using Google Earth, and the year it was built around 1918, with its occupancy determined as historic. Moreover, since the soil type was unavailable during the rapid assessment, it was assumed as type D with stiff soil. Moreover, using hazard hunter pH, liquefaction is high potential within the area, and one factor of this is that the museum is located near the Manila Bay. Moreover, the museum was safe against landslides since the terrain within the area is mostly flat. And lastly, according to Hazard Hunter PH, the museum is safe against ground shaking with approximately 9.4 km west of the West Valley Fault System. For the adjacency, it was not considered since there were no high-rise buildings near the museum. For the irregularity, it was observed that there was a planned irregularity with diaphragm openings. For the exterior falling hazards, the Corinthian columns and pilasters in the facade of the museum were assumed as non-structural falling hazard, and it was served only for aesthetic purposes.
So here's the sketch we prepared. As shown in the plan and elevation views, the building exhibits a doubly symmetric layout, both along its longitudinal and transverse axis. From the elevation, there are no major vertical irregularities observed, so the structure appears uniform in height. However, the plan view reveals a plan irregularity due to the presence of interior courtyards or open spaces. This acts as a discontinuity in the floor diaphragm.
Since quick rapid visual screening of the National Museum was performed, and upon quick inspection, the museum was assumed to be a concrete with moment-resisting frame, which was labeled as C1 MRF. And upon visiting the museum, as I mentioned earlier, plan irregularity was observed since there's a two large openings from the ground floor up to the fourth floor of the building. That serve as an open space, and according to FEMA, these large openings in the floors weakens the diaphragm and reduce its ability to transfer the seismic forces. So a basic score of negative zero point 0.6 was encircled, which corresponds to plan irregularity. And aside from plan irregularity, pre-code was also considered in this rapid screening. It was mentioned that the museum was built around 1918 and it was heavily damaged during World War II. And in 1949, the museum was rebuilt. 20 years after its rebuilt, a local building and design code was published in 1972. And this is the first edition code, also known as the National Building Code of the Philippines, or the NBCP, which provides civil and structural engineers the design and evaluation of the buildings, towers, and other vertical structures around the country. This shows that the building was way older than the year building and the design code were adopted in the country. So a basic score of uh, s- negative 0.4 was encircled. So summing up these basic scores that was considered, the result of the rapid visual screening of the National Museum for potential seismic hazard shows that the final level 1 score of 0.5 is greater compared to the minimum score of 0.3. So this minimum score was developed by considering the worst possible combination of soil types, structural irregularities, and building age all at once. For the extent of review, partial side of the exterior of the museum were observed, specifically the east, west, and the north face of the museum. Moreover, the interior part of the museum was also observed. It it is important to note that prior the screening, there was no drawing reviewed or the plans reviewed related to the museum. So Hazard Hunter PH was used, as I mentioned earlier, as a tool to determine the geologic hazards in the museum. And since this presentation was limited to level 1 screening, the level 2 was not performed. It was from the calculated basic score for level 1 is greater than the minimum score. Thus, there's a no detailed structural evaluation required. Moreover, a detailed non-structural evaluation is recommended since the Corinthian columns and pilasters in the facade of the museum were assumed and identified as a non-structural components, and the non-structural components of the museum and act as an architectural and aesthetic purposes only. And for the recommendations, since the National Museum was a historic structure in the country, it is recommended to perform a detailed seismic evaluation for both structural and non-structural components of the building. So this detailed evaluation ensures that the safety for visitors while meeting the modern safety standards. This also helps the this also helps in identify the vulnerabilities, mitigate risk, and allow for necessary reinforcements or retrofitting measures. And before performing the detailed assessment, it is also recommended to have a coordination with the management of the National Museum and with the local government unit of Manila for the relevant reports, such as the geotechnical reports and details of the structural plans or as-built plans, in order to review the mentioned plans and report before performing the extensive seismic hazard assessment. And that concludes our presentation on the rapid visual screening for the National Museum of Fine Arts. Thank you.